Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching and reacting to a video about Klarna. I've seen a couple videos pop up in my feed about Klarna specifically. This one here, we need to stop this. Klarna, the problem with buy now, pay later, and also over here with upper echelon, the doomed doomed economics of Klarna. Buy now, pay never. Okay. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and watch the upper echelon video here. The link to his channel and this video specifically will be in the description down below. I really like, typically, I really like his takes on a lot of things. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and watch this, and we'll save Levi Hildebrand, which I think it was like future proof everything or something, future proof or something, I don't know. He rebranded his channel recently. Yeah, right here, a month ago. Oh, here it is. It's, yeah, it used to be future proof. So we'll watch another one of his videos later in the week, but for now we're gonna go ahead and watch this upper echelon video on Klarna, the buy now pay never. So from my understanding, Klarna is like a weird it's like what is what are those, it's not a credit card. It's one of those weird loans that has like a super high interest rate and you pay back in segments. I can't quite think of the word, but it's a weird one. It's very, very weird. I've never used Klarna. I'll never use Klarna, but there is an unfortunate reality right now where it feels like many, specifically young people, are utilizing Klarna to buy like everyday things like food, like fast food, not even like grocery store food. They're like going to, Chipotle and spending, Klarna. They're using Klarna to buy a freaking Chipotle burrito. Well, let's watch this video. We'll learn a little bit more, and because I don't even know the full scope of it all, right? Again, link to the video will be in the description down below. Make sure to go check out the channel, like, subscribe, leave a comment, the whole shebang.
This video is brought to you by Ground News. Stick around to hear more
Ground
about the
news.
special
I'm
offer
a
they have
big
provided to the
fan.
entire
I'm a
upper
I'm a
echelon
big
community.
fan of Ground News.
How many people watching this have heard of a concept called BNPL, or Buy Now, Pay Later? Odds are pretty
Me,
high that most of you have, in fact, heard of it in
I
some
have.
capacity or another, because BNPL is actually an extremely popular trend right now. Predominantly among Generation Z and Millennial customers, Buy Now, Pay
Oh, my eyes.
Later represents a financing option that they trust even more than credit cards.
What?
But over the span of
Financing.
just
That's
3 to
what it
4
is.
years, instead of becoming a cornerstone in the world of consumer financing as it was intended to be, one of the most prominent financial technology startups in history has more so crashed and burned under the weight of its broken economic business model, which relies on a perpetual spiral of debt, which is completely, obviously, unsustainable. Meet Klarna.
What
Klarna is
happens?
a
What happens if we just all stop paying in one go? Everyone just stop paying. What happens? What happens for real?
Swedish company, widely regarded back in 2021 and 2022 as
Never
one of the
heard of
most
it. Never
valuable
used it.
startups in the entire world at that time.
The one of the most valuable startups in the entire world at the time. Literally never heard of it until these videos came out. Never heard of it.
The company was valued at over $45 billion, seemingly on track to go public in the United States stock market. But long before that could ever happen, Klarna would be subjected to a frankly stunning level of managerial and business model failure, which, if we're being completely honest here, was entirely predictable for anyone with a brain. Let me explain that. BNPL as a concept isn't actually anything new. Far from it, in fact. Buy now, pay later, conceptually, is just the most recent buzzword in a long history of different financing options, which include things like credit cards, car loans, and mortgages. Financing a purchase is not by itself inherently bad, and one of the best ways to think about that is a car or a house. If you can't afford to buy a car,
Yeah, but from my understanding, when you get a loan, it's like loans and credit cards, although credit cards can be worse, but they tend to be a bit more forgiving because you just have one monthly payment, right? Isn't this Klarna thing like you have to pay like every week or something like that? Also, Usually when you do like these additional like weird little financing things, they don't go onto your credit report either. So you're not like building credit or anything. And unfortunately, the world revolves around credit these days. Credit is the worst.
Car right now, but the car lets you travel 35 minutes to a higher paying job in a different town, financing the purchase has actual material value for you. Yes, you can't afford to buy the item itself all at once and you go in debt to do so, but even if you splurge a little bit and get the heated seats or the better stereo, onboarding a cost of, let's say, $400 per month, while accessing job opportunities that give you an increase of $900 per month or more, is an extremely straightforward financial calculation. In the case of real estate, not only would you be acquiring a place to live, which has value inherently, but provided you maintain the mortgage payments responsibly, you're also building equity in that purchase, which
So he's going at the angle of what you're buying with Klarna doesn't actually attribute any value to your future is essentially what he's saying, right?
presumably equates to much more value later down the line in terms of resale or retirement. Financing a big purchase, or rather a necessary purchase, can make total sense, but things get a little bit less clear when you start talking about credit cards. Credit cards are fundamentally very similar to a buy now, pay later type of loan, but there's still some key differences. For starters, credit cards operate with a fixed interest rate, so you're never really dealing with unexpected payments and late fees.
Oh yeah, I didn't
Second,
even think
the
of like
barrier of
what is
entry for actually
interest rates
getting and
on
using a
Klarna?
credit card is relatively high, with certain offers requiring down payments or having low initial credit limits. But the bottom line is that credit cards often can be predatory, misused, or damaging. However, credit cards, for all of their many flaws, pale in comparison to something like Klarna, in part because they're far more regulated, but I'll talk about that later on. More so because, much the same way credit cards opened up broader access to unaffordable spending for some people, Klarna and companies with a similar business model take it like 15 intentional steps further. This is an imperfect explanation, I know that fully, and there's different laws in different countries as well. But for the sake of time, here it is. Traditional credit companies operate around essential ranking systems before even letting you become a customer. If you do get a credit card or if you don't make your payments, they'll pursue you. But when that happens, either one, it becomes known to pretty much every other similar company out there. However, buy now, pay later firms, such as Klarna, don't quite operate like that. Instead of having a front loaded check system, which other companies can see, or an increase in credit limit, which is visible to all of them if you're approved, Klarna operates by offering the ability to finance all sorts of small individual purchases directly at checkout. As evidence of this, you can look at how
I've seen other things similar to this. Whenever like whenever I check out with anything that has like a PayPal section, there's like a, oh, 4 easy installments, 4 easy payments, stuff like that. I don't know what it's called, but I've seen similar things.
Klarna became the exclusive provider of BNPL loans for the retail giant Walmart in advance of a highly
What?
anticipated IPO, or how they partnered directly with DoorDash so that people can finance the purchase of individual fast food meals.
This is crazy. Let me DoorDash. Look at this. Pay full. Pay in four allows customers to pay in four equal. Pay later allows customers to defer payments to a more convenient time, such as a date that aligns with their paycheck schedule.
Meals and pay for
Crazy.
them later. Of course, if you don't pay, companies such as Klarna can certainly report that activity to credit bureaus, which then affects
Oh,
you in a variety
okay.
of ways.
Wait,
But
so it
as
does
per their
affect
website,
credit.
they typically run soft checks, not hard checks, at the onset, which means that not only are they deliberately focusing as much as possible on financing small purchases, they're also doing this with a softer check system.
Okay, so they don't affect your credit positively, but they can affect it negatively, is what I'm getting from this, correct? That's wild if that's
Which
true.
isn't visible to other lenders. Functionally, buy now, pay later lending companies are facilitating debt spirals and deliberately targeting a more vulnerable demographic of people that have less money and lower financial literacy in the first place. Hopefully that makes sense. Fun fact about the channel here, I get absolutely bombarded by
I 100%, I love Ground News. Go utilize Ground News. Use his code. We're not going to sit through the ad, but use ground.news/echelon for 40% off unlimited access this month only. Go and use it. It's fantastic. We're not going to sit through the ad though.
think this business model is serving them. How is Klarna doing under this framework that we've now fully discussed? Well, it's going just about how you should probably expect it to be going. Because when you target that kind of demographic with predatory loans for individual fast food or consumer electronics purchases, you run into an issue where
Fast
maybe the person
food.
taking out the loan to buy Chipotle or imitation off brand sneakers doesn't really have a burning desire to pay
Off
that loan
off
off, or
brand
far more likely in this
sneakers?
case, doesn't even pay attention to it. The closest
Probably
comparison I can draw
doesn't.
here is something called payday
Payday
loans, which are relatively
loan. That's what I was thinking. Oh my God, yeah, payday loan, dude. When I worked for Best Buy for a short stint, there was a rep that had came in, and it was right when they started doing like these weird payday-ish loan thingies, and ugh, horrible.
Relatively small short-term loan agreements, sometimes with insane interest rate costs attached to them, that are widely considered to be
That's the
horrifically
problem.
predatory. They do not
Yeah,
care whether or not you can meet other financial obligations, often using something called automatic repayment authorization forms, so that they'll automatically get back the money that you borrowed plus interest on a particular date when you get your next paycheck. They'll just pull it directly out of your bank account. Buy now, pay later as a format is basically payday loans. They just have less of the safety measures. It's mainstream adoption of a predatory lending system with less of the predatory enforcement practices, which may sound good on paper to some people. I get that. But there is a reason that loan companies use those predatory tactics when dealing with the concept of small individual purchase loans from people who don't necessarily have a readily available option or intention of ever paying it back. Hopefully, it's already becoming quite obvious why Klarna has one of the most asinine business models I can possibly think of. But let's really paint the picture, okay?
yeah,
In
it's very
2021,
clear.
Klarna was raising over $600 million at a record $45.6 billion valuation. That's insane for a startup company. But just 1 year later, July of 2022, they tried to fundraise again with a valuation of only $6 billion this time.
They lost
That is a
40
stunning
billion.
decline in value, but the problems were only getting
No, no, no,
started.
wait.
Most
They
recently,
lost. It was raises, yeah, the $45 billion valuation, and then they they only they did 6 billion, so they lost four. They lost 39 billion,
time. That is
40
a
billion.
stunning decline in value, but the problems were only getting started. Most recently, first quarter 2025, the company reported that they'd lost almost $100 million so far in the year. Obviously,
Oh, what's happening? Like he says here, pay never. Are these people just not? I guess when you are giving loans, when you're the type of person that would get a loan to buy fast food, you're probably also the type of person that just straight up wouldn't pay that loan back. I see what's happening. I see what's happening. They're not making any money. There's no way for them to make money. They're giving out loans to these people, and they're just not the type of people that pay it back.
that's not a good thing, but plenty of companies out
That's
there operate at a
funny.
loss. So, how does
That's
it compare
very
to the year
funny.
prior? Not so good, actually, because in 2024, as per their financial disclosures, first quarter losses were roughly 47 million after you convert Swedish krona to American dollars, that is. They doubled their quarterly losses year over year because it turns out when you mass lend money to people that can't or just don't care to pay you back, the business suffers. It gets so much better, though. Klarna isn't just a predatory company, predatory in my opinion at least. They're also trend chasers. What I mean by this is that in 2024, during the height of the Silicon Valley AI craze, Klarna decided to replace their existing customer support options with AI agents. This was described as a
Okay.
tremendous cost cutting initiative that would allegedly supply the company with tens of millions of dollars in additional revenue. Later that year, December of 2024, CEO Sebastian Shimetkovsky doubled and tripled down on this move after the company ceased hiring and made it clear that AI would allegedly be capable of replacing all jobs eventually, saying things like, quote, people internally at Klarna are just rallying to deploy as much efficiency AI as they can. We're going to give some of the improvements that the efficiency that AI provides by increasing the pace at which the salaries of our employees increase, end quote. Sounds good, right? Great company, solid business model, ostentatious display of modern technology. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything can go wrong. Once again, speaking to Bloomberg in mid
Okay.
2025, May 8th to be precise, Shimitkovsky had this to say, quote, from a brand perspective, a company perspective, I just think it's so critical that you are clear to your customer that there will always be a human if you want. And further down, as cost unfortunately seems to have been a too predominant evaluation factor when organizing this, what you end up having is lower quality. Really investing in the quality of the human support is the way of the future for us. End quote.
What?
That's a pretty shocking about face when you really think about it, especially when you consider that he was crowing to high
Oh
heaven
my
about how effective AI would
god.
be in saving up to $40 million for the company. But I guess it's not all bad news, right? In August of 2024, Klarna issued a press release about how revenue was up 27% and further affirmed or reaffirmed their commitment to having Klarna be available at every retail checkout. Later on, in March of
I've never
2025,
seen it.
they officially filed their prospectus with the SEC, confirming their intention to go public. It all sounds good on the
Could you
surface.
imagine? Could you imagine you're out of Walmart and it's like, "Oh yeah, you wanna pay for this frozen pizza and chips and a soda for in 4 payments with Klarna." That's weird. I don't know. That seems. I could see it being useful, but like, what is the interests on it? Like, how much extra are you actually paying? If it's like an astronomical amount, then there's no way that it's worth.
With the corporate doublespeak lens applied to it. But if you have a faulty business model, increasing the availability of your service does not increase profit. Increasing the amount of people that you're lending to, if those people aren't paying you back, which they're not, only increases your losses. As far
Yeah,
as I can tell, that's
exactly.
precisely what's happening to Klarna. According to CNBC sources, in April of 2025, just one short month after they initially filed with the SEC to begin with, Klarna was deciding to delay their plans for an IPO, citing market turbulence in the wake of the Trump tariffs. But I think it's important to understand that this is right around the same exact time that the company is publicly losing twice as much money as last year, despite a massively expanded customer base, supposedly. Do we see the problem here? They cut their workforce by like 20 to 40% easily on the basis that AI would save them tens of millions of dollars, and now they're backtracking quickly. They massively increased the number of people using the service, generally, making it more and more ubiquitously available, and yet the losses are spiraling. More and more people are using multiple BNPL loans. 23% say that they've had 3 or more active at one time. Two-thirds of their users, according to LendingTree survey data, say that they'd consider using the service for food delivery, like DoorDash, and over 60% of users incorrectly
Crazy.
believe that making on-time payments can help your credit score. But it can't do that. Only
Yeah.
13% of buy now, pay later service users, okay, and that's a horrifying statistic. Only 13% correctly understand that you have all of the downside credit score risk with none of the upside credit.
Oh my god. It's dumb people. It's people that don't read the fine print. It's people that don't read the bold print.
Credit score benefits. Using the service cannot improve your credit score ever. It can only hurt it. Meanwhile, as we remember that BNPL services have a customer base that primarily skews younger, such as Gen Z and millennials, meanwhile, student loan delinquency rates are surging eightfold as the federal pause, in the United States at least, on reporting those delinquencies came to an end. All in context, because I'm throwing a lot of data at people right now. All in
Yeah.
context, my point is this. Klarna, one of the darling fintech startups of the past decade or so, at least internationally, is a predatory, ill conceived business model, which fails to consider the fact that lending obscene amounts of money to people who likely will never pay you back so that they can buy DoorDash, AirPods, and cheap electronics is probably not the way to generate real revenue. Sure, in May of 2025, the Trump administration voided a previous rule that would hold BNPL companies accountable under the same regulations as credit cards, which gives them a little bit more runway to be increasingly predatory, but that runway
Oh
will
my
end eventually.
god.
And a faulty business model built around the premise of high risk lending, when there's also basically nothing for you to repossess if your customer can't pay, what are you going to do? Take the Chipotle burrito back from them to get your money? A faulty
We're gonna pump that burrito out of your stomach.
business model like that doesn't just miraculously fix itself, which leaves the doomed economics of Klarna as a buy now, pay never type of lifestyle. Like I said early in the video, it kind of feels like anyone with a brain should have been able to see that coming. Anyway, if you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. The video sponsor, Ground News, of course, locals and Patreon, best ways by far to support the channel, special product deals, etc., etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.
Crazy. Crazy, 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 dude. I mean, I don't understand who would ever do this. Like, I hardly knew about it, and I already knew it was a bad idea. Ah, wild. Wild. I need to read these comments. Like, it's just. It is predatory. It's super scummy. It's predatory. They're just. And then, like, what are the interest rates? What are the fees you have to pay? Like, any late fees? Are they taking it directly from your account? Like, how much extra are you spending? Do you even notice it? Like, what if you stack it up? If you're Klarna burrito and then the next day Klarna something else, like, you're just bam, 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 stacking up all these fees, all these payback later things. Like, how the average, I think the average person that would use it wouldn't be able to keep track of all that, and it would just, the burden of like repayment would just get too high, and then they don't pay it. So the irony of them thinking you're going to be paid reliably from the same kind of person who finances a burrito is hilarious. And if Klarna goes under, they and their debts will likely be bought by another company that does aggressively pursue them. I have no clue why the U.S. is trying to speedrun the housing bubble in every economy sector at once. I can't drink any Starbucks until I pay off my Klarna. I first used Buy Now Pay Later on a Walmart grocery order. I just wanted to try it. Next, I financed a bunk bed for my kids. We really needed it. I was able to finance that with the same company for no interest, 6 equal bi weekly payments, paid the sales tax up front. After that purchase, they never let me split anything else ever again. I'm not sure why. I never missed a payment. I guess they don't like people who pay them back. Non interest payments don't make them money. It's true, they don't. Guys, please put the pictures together. They don't want to lend to responsible people. Their goal is to not get paid. Their goal is not to get paid. Their goal is to generate loan balances, interest, and fees on accounts that they can sell to other investors. Think of this as subprime crisis from 0809, not just for the house. I can see that. I definitely see that. If you borrow 10,000 from the bank, that's your problem. If you borrow 100 million from the bank, that's the bank's problem. But if 10 million people each borrow $10 from the bank, that's also the bank's problem. Because if too many of them default, it's not cost effective to take individual to court for small debts. As someone living in Sweden, I can add this to part of Klarna's issue is that they applied Swedish cultural assumptions to a global rollout. In Sweden, there's much more cultural incentive and sense of duty to pay what is owed than in, say, the U.S. That's biting them in the behind. We're losing money on every sale. Don't worry, we'll make it back on volume. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but business models like Klarna make me think that someone with a lot of money thought, let's come up with a silly way for people to incur debt, like, say, burritos. Then we can use these silly people who finance burritos to convince voters that our debt based economy is actually an individual problem and not deeply rooted economic problem that has left regular people with no money. We got it. We got it, folks. We broke through. That's the key. That's the truth of the matter there. All right, guys. Go watch the video. The link will be in the description down below. Without any further ado, I'm going to get out of here. Take care. Goodbye.